Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is DFree, and for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what I think, in my opinion, are the best characters currently at the time of the recording in Dragon Ball Legends. So to go through this video, we have Goresh as well for the first time in a while, man, on the channel. Thank you for helping me out with this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been, oh boy, a long time since we've done a video together, so
yeah.
Feels good to be back.
I always think back to the first anniversary, dude. We sat here for like, what was it, like 2 hours and went through all those characters, man. So many characters.
Yeah, I specifically remember opening, because we both had not looked at the characters, and we opened Super Vegito's like main ability, and we were like, what in the hell is this?
Good times, man. That's when we first got our first paragraphs. We were like, what is happening here, dude?
Yeah.
Now that's the commonplace for the game. So anyways, we're gonna go through, like I said, top 10, and we're gonna start off with just kind of honorable mentions. So I believe Goresh said that he's making or has made a video similar to this, so make sure you go to his channel, check it out, and subscribe to him as well. So I wanted to start off by just mentioning in the very beginning, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegito has not got his Zenkai. I mean, it might come as early as a couple of days from now. I don't know, but it will be happening during the anniversary. And do you have any thoughts about this guy's potential power post Zenkai?
Yeah, it's really tough to say, because when I think of this guy, it's kind of like, okay, well, we have Ultra Gogeta, who's kind of just this guy, but better, right?
Yep.
But this guy's obviously going to encompass God Key and Fusion and Future, right? So those are the two tags that Ultra Gogeta is not on. So I don't know. We'll talk about this a bit later, but a lot of the best units in the game, pretty much every single one, has some way to nullify special cover changes. So that's the one thing I'd want to see on this guy. But I mean, I just did a video on this guy before his Zenkai, and he was still good. So I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, see, right before the anniversary, I went through the first, second, and third headliners, and I did a video with him as well. And I came away from that video thinking, I don't know if he needs a Zenkai, but a Plat equip, it would have been nice, you know? Or even like a Platinum equip with some sort of third slot effect like Cell or Gogeta, where they just kind of give them a new mechanic altogether or whatever.
Yeah, I think what they might end up doing is they might just make him a bit more defensive, because that's definitely his biggest weakness right now.
Yeah.
And then the offensive buffs he'll get will just be purely stat-based, I'm thinking, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you can even look back to the first anniversary Super Vegito's Zenkai Awakening. They really didn't do a ton there. And he wound up being pretty good. I mean, in this character's case, I'll just kind of wrap up by saying this, is that he is a character that has some of those mechanics. Like, he has null covers, but it's just, you know, for a couple of counts on activation of the ultimate, if I recall. So, like, he has got the power-crept versions of these mechanics. So, it's going to be interesting to see if they decide to tweak that or change it, give it to in a more passive way with that type of stuff. I don't really know. Will he pick up actual draw speed? I kind of don't want him to have that because he has the force draw, but he can get that in a specific matchup. Like, there are things in this guy's kit that are really good still and could age very well with the Zenkai. So, we'll see. Speaking of age very well and Zenkais, we have Super Saiyan Bardock on the honorable mention list. This is a character that, I mean, he deserves a Zenkai because of the stats and power creep, blah, blah, blah. But should they have done it just based on the principle? Probably not. He is a character that super buffs the Super Saiyan character, so he'll always be relevant. Even pre-Zenkai, he would have technically still always been relevant because his effect is so powerful. He's truly one of a kind with the way that he functions. And do you have any comments on this guy? Because I could keep going.
I mean, for those of you watching this video who know me, you know that I actually despise this character. Like, this is easily the biggest mistake they've ever made in this game, was releasing this guy. And then
that's
on top
saying
of that,
a lot, man, because there have been a lot of big mistakes throughout the game's lifespan.
Yeah, but I am doubling down on that. Like, this is easily, in my opinion, the biggest mistake they've ever made. And then they had the audacity to Zenkai him. Like, are they stupid? But yeah, I mean, because the thing with, like, if we go through the history of this game, like, Purple Broly was dominant for a long time, Vegito Blue was dominant for a long time. Now we have the androids, like Zenkai Red Gohan. Like, all these characters were good for their eras. This is a timeless character. We're going to have, like, I don't know, Super Saiyan Goku from the Broly movie release in 2026, and guess who's going to be on the team? This Bardock. So, I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very, very, very nonsensical.
Yeah, no, you're telling the truth. Bardock's his passive is one of a kind, man, and people don't really understand. It's not just that he offers like the crit rate buff; it's the crit power or the crit damage. Like, he makes these characters explode with damage to where you could really pair any Super Saiyan character in the game, no matter how old, and they could look 10 times better than they actually are when paired with this character. That's just insane, personally.
Yep.
So he's pretty awesome. Now we have Jiren here. Jiren is one of the more recent LFs that came out leading up to the anniversary. For me, he was final confirmation. I mean, I already was pretty sure, but final confirmation that Goku was coming out for the anniversary. So Jiren holds a special place in my heart because of that and nothing else. But I do like the character kit, but I think he falls a little bit short because of some of the characters we're going to talk about having things like nullifying endurance, and that's his main shtick. But he's really good as a rising rush control type of character because he'll dissuade the opponent from wanting to rising rush because he gets so many effects that activate just in their very valuable high power effects. But much like a character like LF Bardock or even like Trunks, who has the gauge that's just kind of delayed, you'll find that a lot of these characters are better when they have the mechanics just outright. So he gets a lot of criticism, but I think that he's really good, but I do understand why people don't love this character.
Yeah, I mean, he has access to an AoE green card. One thing to mention about that is it doesn't have cover change nullification attached to it, which I think a lot of the units getting AoE green cards in this day and age generally do have. So
should have.
Kind of strange they didn't give it to him, especially because he has a 30% chance to inflict faint on the next Striker Blast card used after the green card is launched. And it's like, you go for a Striker Blast after the green card, and the enemy just cover changes you, and then you just lose the effect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think,
but he picks it up, though, post-rush.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yes, that is true, yeah. But the enemy has to rush, and then you're just dead anyway. But actually, the thing I think nobody really talks about in this character is I really like his strike card effect because it lets him penetrate sustained damage cut, which I think is actually a pretty powerful ability.
Yeah. And that stacks with each use because it's for 10 counts.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. He's a character that kind of just has a lot of benefits. Doesn't really have too many shortcomings, in my opinion. He's got the AoE ultimate, AoE damaging ultimate. Like, he has all these things, but just really, I guess, just people don't love the delayed playstyle. But, you know, actually, he has two forms of cut. He has it on the main, too, 50%. My goodness.
Yeah, so you can like, if you pop the main, I mean, actually, like, there's a positive and negative to the main ability because it destroys one of your cards for the ult.
Yeah.
But you can pop the main, and if you have like other cards in your hand to continue the combo with him, like, he does a lot of damage because he's ignoring all that sustained damage cut.
Yeah, and in the optimal scenario, post rush, they can't cover out. You're going to draw that. Like, he's a character that's extremely late game value.
Yeah. Yep.
So. But other than that, like I said, when people are versus him, especially when he came out, I don't know how much it is today because I haven't used him much, but when he came out, people were not using their rushes. And I thought that was a huge win in and of itself.
Well, now people just rush you with the androids. So.
Yes. Or they were rushing with full power Frieza for that matter. But yes, now they'll just rush with the androids, who will, spoiler, be on the list. Speaking of the list, we have Golden Frieza. He probably could have easily been as high as number 5, I think, on my list, but he's here right now for me personally, just because I think he does so many things, but I don't love how paper thin he is, but that's really his only real weakness. I mean, people gushed over this character when he came out, and it was obviously not that long ago, but he was talked up as having like an LF level kit and things like that, and that's fair. That's totally true because of the way he plays his neutral his blue card being so powerful, the green doing things that it does, his reload on the hand, all the healing he does. Like, he's a character with also no covers as well, because you have to have that in this game, basically. Sorry, Jiren. You have to have that. But yeah, all the things he does make him extremely powerful. And if you get caught in a combo with him, it kind of doesn't matter what your type is, like I said, because he's going to end that combo with the blue card, and he's going to just do a crap ton of damage.
Yeah, this guy kind of does remind me a little bit of like a mini version of the androids, because he's a character that you can combo for like literally 15 counts straight if you pop his main. You can farm a rush in like 2 seconds. He destroys your cards. He is anti-blast armor, which I think is going to come into play very soon, depending on how good the Zenkai Vegito Blue is, right? Yeah. You have him and then Ultra Gogeta. I mean, literally, I've had matches where this guy 2-shots Ultra Gogeta through his blast armor. Yeah. So he is an Ultra Gogeta killer, like an axe murderer of Ultra Gogeta, pretty much.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, he's on my honorables, but he easily could have been in the upper half of my list. But there was a couple spots that I'll mention when we get to it that I tried to really pay respect to, like Zenkais or whatever, so it's probably my thing. But he is a menace, and I want to mention it one more time that when Vegito gets a Zenkai, or when the next banner comes out, things like that, like, this list could shake up drastically. I
do think that this guy did become a little bit better with the release of UI Goku just because he covers his weakness to blue as well. So like somebody brings Ultra Gogeta to try and counter UI Goku, well, this Frieza is going to destroy that Gogeta, right? So
yeah, that's true. Speaking of Frieza, we have one more on the list, and that is Full Power Frieza, who he's a good character. Has the main to restore the gauge. He has the blast armor, which is always awesome. He has the always active nullifying endurance. Both of these Friezas, by the way, have Dragon Ball destruction, so very valuable and powerful effects on LOE as a whole. And a character that has aged pretty well. He's probably one of the older characters on this list at this point. So outside of like you know Zenkai Bardock, right? So
yeah. Yeah, get ready to have that Bardock on your list in the next 4 years. But yeah, this Frieza, like, the thing with this Frieza is he has like some of the best equips in the game, right? He has 2 unique equipments. He has like the Awaken equipment for LOE. Like, he's decked out. The thing with him right now, though, with this current meta, is there's not really a super powerful purple character, right? We have Goku and Vegeta, who I think probably are the second best purple in the game, because like not counting Cell, because he's not a Saiyan, because he does extra damage to I think a Sun family. But there's really not like a mega dominant purple character, which is crazy because there was like not that long ago when they were just buffing the hell out of purple, right? There was like Legends festivals around that time where purple was everywhere. Just about a month ago, we were saying this about Red, dude. Seriously, when Goku Black got his Zenkai, Red was the most dead color in the game. they gave Red like 3 or 4 Zenkais consecutively. With Kale, Goku Black with 13. So now it's crazy to see the shift. Yeah, that Kale is a problem.
Stop it, she's Z tier. Anyways. yeah. So he kind of falls a little short without having the direct matchup. But I'll always pay a little respect to yellow characters as well, because the tag mechanic is a good thing and a bad thing. So he'll be all right. So we move on to my last honorable mention. It's Beerus. Latecomer to the list. He was probably one of the last characters we mentioned, and it was like, wait a minute, this guy's actually still really insane. He's not even that old, so it's not like he's power crept at all. But Beerus is a character that has literally everything in terms of like offensive value. He has Nullify Endurance, Nullify Revive, which is one of its kind currently in the game. He has the mechanics with the Dragon Balls. He has double draw speed potential. He has a lock on the green card. He has a lot of things that are valuable. He has healing. He's a character that can just really, if you get caught in a combo with Beerus, you better watch out.
Yeah, the thing about Beerus too is you can activate his main ability after 5 counts. So, like very early on in the game, you're like scuffling with your opponent. You get a combo in on them and you get a hit on them. Like you can extend that combo for a long time. And that will let you farm a rush. It could, like, that main ability only taking 5 counts to activate could snowball your way to a victory very easily. So
yeah, the thing about this main too is that it also does, like I said, the shortened sub count. So like even if they switch out of Beerus, he'll come right back, and he also has the null covers. So like,
yeah,
you really
30 counts.
30 counts. You really don't have options if he uses this. And 5 counts is the beginning of the game, dude. So like the second he switches in, he'll pop this, and you're just stuck. You can't do anything to him.
Yeah. The one thing I will mention about Beerus, by the way, I think I've actually gotten this question a lot. I do think I like Beerus better than the Vegeta we just got, the transforming one. I think Beerus is a little better because they're both on the same team. So like they're both on God Key, they're both on Universe Survival Saga. I think I do like Beerus a little bit better. But the thing I will mention about Beerus is Beerus's lock activates on his green card when the enemy's HP is 50% or below. The thing with that is you pop your main ability to get the green card, but then you can't chain that green card into your blue card unless it's off of a blast. So your enemy has a chance to switch before you lock them in, as opposed to, like, for example, the green LF Zenkai Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, who uses his main and then he just draws the ultimate and then he locks him in. Like, you can't switch against that. Whereas with Beerus, a lot of the times you can switch. You get the opportunity to switch. So that is one downside to that. But the thing is, even if your opponent switches, you just ignore their cover change and you just continue comboing them. So, yeah.
Yep. So Beerus is an awesome character overall. Highly offensive. Definitely one that you guys should be using. Like I said, like Goresh said, excuse me. I like him a lot. Probably better than that Vegeta a good bit. Vegeta's solid. He's a pretty good character. But Beerus, think just the offensive value is insanely high. So that is our honorable mentions list. And let us know what you guys think about that. We're going to kind of come back and run through the top 10 a little bit quicker. At least we're going to try to. And we'll go from there, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, like I said, we are back now. I had to sort it out, but we have the first character on the list. And this character, we're going to start at their number 1, okay? They're number 1 on the list. I'm telling you right now who number 1 is. We're not going to do number 2 next. We're going to bounce back down to 10 and work our way back up the list. But it's important to mention number 1 in this video because of the fact of how they function in the game and basically the stranglehold that they have over the game. But I'm going to bring an expert on for this one, and we have Goresh to explain why these characters are so powerful.
Yeah, so the best way I can really explain why they're so good is the way I picture this unit is they're basically a Frankenstein of like all the best aspects of every single character, right? They have like it's like that's like the best way I could explain it. Like they have the LF Blue Gogeta's cover change ability, where they nullify the cover changes whenever they use their green cards. They have Red Bojack's main ability. Vanish gauge removal on 18's green card. They have Vegito Blue's ability to draw cards whenever they use cards. They have Goku and Vegeta's tag ability. So it's like you take like the best aspects of like all these crazy good characters and then you just create this unit. And then they added stuff on top of them. They have Dragon Ball Destruction. Like they're supporting their team whenever they attack the enemy. Like what is this?
Vanish for restoration.
Yeah, like they're actually doing like way too much. And then if that wasn't enough, they have permanent endurance nullification, which is funny because I think even if this unit did not permanently nullify endurance, they would still be number 1. That's how stupid this unit is. And I have played through every single. I'm a day 1 player. I have been playing this game since day 1. I've been through all of the very annoying metas. You know, original Holy Trinity with Purple Broly. Second year anniversary Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, Zenkai Red Gohan. Like I've been through it all. In my opinion, this is the worst of the worst. Like this, I despise this unit because they attack you and they attack you and then they keep attacking you and then they keep going and they keep going and they keep going and you actually can't do anything about it because they just nullify your cover changes, they remove your vanish, they destroy your Dragon Balls, they reduce your ki, and it's like the combo is over. And you have no key, and you have no Dragon Balls, and you have no cards, and you're dead. That's it.
Yeah.
GG.
Yeah. The only thing that they don't have really is like blast armor.
Yeah, well, their blue cards have it, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty crazy. I like you have played through every meta as a day 1 player, and I mean, I could say I think for today's standards, this certainly is insane, and probably I agree with you. But I'm gonna just say, man, I'm gonna say I think that Purple Broly, man, that meta was something else, dude. Like, especially when he would restore Vanish on Blast Armor. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was. We don't talk about that.
That dude had such a stranglehold on the game. I remember we were talking, and probably it was in DMs, and they released that Green Future Gohan, and we were like, this dude's just gonna suck because he's green. He's unusable.
No, the best ever release was Green Beerus. He was the first, like, quote-unquote LF. Back then, it was ticket exclusive. And it was like, oh, my God, this is sick. Like, Beerus is finally out in the game. And he just got clobbered by...
He could do anything.
Seconds. Like, it wasn't even... It was so bad.
Yeah, tripped out memory lane there. Broly was something else, man. But yeah, I agree with you. I really don't have much to say about this character. They are a character that if you ever get matched up with them, you might as well just pack it up. They are the first character that's made me feel that way, if I'm being honest. First character that's made me feel that way since Vegito Blue came out. And when Vegito Blue came out, especially when you could only cover once, you might as well pack it up, dude. You might as well just put your phone down. This character is the same way. And in a climate where you can switch multiple times and have more interaction, even if you can't, you know, if you get nullified, whatever. But you could at least do something. Back then with Vegito and Kefla, you could literally not even do anything. So,
I think
first character.
From like a top PvP perspective, like top 500 and above, like when it comes down to it, if you aren't using this character on your team, you are instantly at a disadvantage. I will tell you guys right now, it's been a week since UI Goku released. I see the androids way more often than UI Goku, which is pretty stupid because UI Goku is like the anniversary headlining new LF character, and it's UI Goku, like hype as hell UI Goku, and I see these guys way more than UI Goku. And again, we're talking like we're about to talk about all of these other characters, but it's like these guys are the leader slot on all the teams, every single team. This is the leader. This is who you're
and like it's not as simple as to say, oh, well, I can use Ultra Gogeta and he could destroy them. Well, so what? Like, every character in the game has, a weakness, in terms of types. But you can also offset that with this character because they can switch their typing. That's what really sets them over the edge for me, is that they have all of these things literally built into their kit that are insane, like you mentioned, but then they can freaking reverse their typing. So, like, what do you really do, and they've also, this is another thing that's underrated about them, they've also single-handedly eliminated endurance. There was only a couple really relevant endurance characters that were even really in the meta anymore, and they were Oob and Future Gohan, and those characters are gone, dude. They're gone.
Yeah, I mean, you could also throw in like Jiren and like
Jiren too, I guess, but it was mainly those two you would see.
Yeah, I mean, sort of Hope Trunks,
especially Future Gohan,
kinda could fare against this unit, but when you switch into 18, you like 2-card him.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah,
he tries to offset it with the gauge, but like they'll get him. They'll just rush, whatever.
Yeah, then they just get key back for attacking and then kill him. Yeah.
So they've pretty much, there's still obviously a lot of endurance characters, but in my opinion, I don't value endurance as highly anymore just because they exist. It's pretty crazy that we have that as a fact to say about another character. So they're at the top of the list. I think they are the number one character in the game. You'll obviously hear other names like Ultra Gogeta on this list throughout 2 to 10. So make sure you listen through to that. But let's go ahead and bounce down to 10 here. And this is something that I really actually liked. I was going through my list of characters, and he made it in at the last minute. That's why he's number 10. And I actually kind of thought about it. I was like, hold on. This is a character that could be getting more relevant and more play soon, based on the fact we're going to get, most likely anyway, we're most likely going to get superhero content soon, and obviously probably a new Gohan as well, things like that. So he'll have more utility with that, and the teams he'll be available to use on. And the things that he can do are also some of the one-of-a-kind stuff that he does. Like, he's got supercharged versions of some of this stuff. For one, he has an extra increase on damage, extra rising rush damage, which is not very common at all. He has defeated buffs built into his kit. I need to go ahead and pull this up for the Zenkais. He has a natural draw speed, which I used to hate this because it was delayed by like 5 counts. It was the most annoying thing ever. They fixed that to where he always gets it. Coincidentally, didn't they just release a character that has delayed draw speed? And I was like, why would you do this? I don't know who it is, but I think they did. But yeah, he has a lot of defeated buffs. He also increases ultimate damage, key recovery, health, stuff like that. Also, when he's defeated, he also does a sustained damage cut effect to the enemies as well, reduces their key, and then also does a key recovery debuff. He has main ability ceiling as well. He shortens his, this is the best thing in his kit, he shortens his own sub count by 5 when the enemy uses a blue card or an Awakened Arts card, whatever. So he can basically switch into that. And then if they use a rush, it doesn't really matter. He's going to just go ahead and throw himself into that. He reduces his count by 10. So he is a character that, like, you have characters like Ultra Gogeta that can do it for their allies, or I think even like, wasn't like Bojack did something similar to that too. Like, you can reduce your allies sub count spontaneously like that. But this guy, anytime a powerful move is thrown your way, you can throw him out there basically. Obviously 5 isn't 10, so it just depends on your situation, but you can throw him out there in most cases. And then he also has ally sub count down with the green card, extra damage as well for allies. Just I love this guy's kit, man. He does a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I do like him as well. I think that -10 to own sub count with the Rising Rush activation is probably like one of the most timeless abilities that we'll see in this game. Honestly, like, there's not really much else that can really compete with that. I don't know how many times that this has happened to me, but like at least a few times when I was using this guy when he released, there was instances where I would be switched in with a character, have 0 vanish, and I couldn't switch out. And then it was like, okay, I'll rush, and then I just switch into Goku and vanish, and then they instantly just
yeah. Like that's why I said, like, that's one of a kind, dude. It really is. Like, you can just use this guy and get that Rising Rush. Well, you vanished it, but you can like just throw him out there, and you have insane benefits for doing so anyway. And he's a good Dragon Ball farmer because he has all the key and draw speed. He just doesn't. You know where he's gonna fall short for a lot of people is he doesn't have those extreme high-end mechanics for offense. You know, he's not nullifying cover. He has draw speed, which is awesome, but he doesn't have all the damage. You know, he's not going to do those things. But, I mean, he's a support type, so, you know, take from that what you will. But he is a character that's more or less going to function on the intangibles. And I actually really love the intangibles. Like, on that same topic, like, you know, those free characters that recently came out, I said, you know, I'm not mad at like Krillin in particular. I see a lot of like mixed opinions on those characters saying, you know, X character's better or whatever. But I really love Krillin because he does all the intangible stuff. Like, he doesn't do damage, not at all, but he does everything else. So like this guy is from that same vein, that same cloth, where he's not going to do a ton of damage, but he does a lot of other things that are valuable to you. To where if you pair him with a extremely high-end offensive character, like I'm imagining we're probably going to get soon, he's very valuable.
Yeah, UI Gohan.
Yeah. On that note, we move to number 9. All right, so Gogeta, you actually were saying that you didn't think he really deserved a top 10 spot in particular. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with that.
So on my list, a spoiler for my video, I have him because I actually, in my honorable mentions, I ranked the honorable mentions. I have him at the number 1 spot on my honorable mentions list.
Oh, so just outside. Okay.
Yeah, like if you want to put him on your list, I would not argue with you.
Gotcha.
For me, the biggest thing that really pushed this guy out of like the top 10, if you want to go down that path, is all the best units in the game picking up anti-cover change. So I think even before this guy got his unique equipment, like one of the biggest assets this guy had brought to the table was the ability to cover change twice against strike or blast cards.
Yep.
Like just a free, pretty much get out of jail free, stop the combo right then and there if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1. And then number 2, I mean, this guy, I wouldn't really say like he fell off like a cliff or anything like that. He's just been slowly getting power crept out of the meta. That's just the best way I can put it, right? His damage is not as good as the other best units in the game. His defense is certainly not as good as the other best units in the game. But he does have access to some good things still, like his green card still nullifies cover change. His blue, honestly, his blue card still is one of the best in the game with the ability to just draw another one straight away and get 50 key back. Like that's really good.
Yeah.
And then the last thing to mention as well is right now in the meta, you don't really see that many revival characters.
Yep.
Which I think is obviously this guy's forte, right? It's just dealing with revival, especially with the unique equipment that he has.
Yep.
So I think once we see the return of like some of these good revival characters, or maybe we get Zenkais for like, I don't know, if like revival Cell is going to get a Zenkai for all we know, like I don't know. If he ends up getting a Zenkai or some for some reason we get a bunch of new or Zenkai revival characters that make their way back into the meta, this guy will
jump up in your opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because the Dragon Balls, getting 4 Dragon Balls is like... I recently was using that Frieza, and I was like, damn it, I'm trying so hard not to get him killed by this Gogeta. And he finally got him. We were going back and forth all game. He finally got him, and I was like, God dang it. And then literally thereafter, he had another rush. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, but then, the thing is, he also gains like a permanent 50% damage buff as well.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. This guy's, if he could get in a revive character specifically, he's through the roof. You talked about how like his offenses aren't as high. He's a defense type character. His defense is decent, and a lot of his defensive value is in the fact that it's kind of like chancy things where he's got the 1-time extra cut. He's got the 2-time cover changes, which we talked about can be nullified. And the thing is that kind of also speaks to a larger problem with the game, is that the defensive characters in this game that rely on defense are not really able to do too much because the offense is so high.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And like you really can't mitigate enough damage on these characters anymore. Like we talked about it, and even if you can mitigate the damage through some combination of just natural defenses or having high defensive stats or some combination of whatever type advantage, even if you could do that, these characters are so adept at drawing cards too and extending their combos to where you still took a lot of damage at the end of the day. So like that's kind of where defense characters as a archetype in the game kind of fall a little short. And I think that he has awesome utility with the null covers, with the extra blue card you said, the anti-revive we talked about for a bit, the defensive stuff I just mentioned, the blast armor, which is very valuable too. There's some more stuff in here like healing. He heals a lot. Like I think he heals like almost 1 million HP for me. It's pretty crazy. He has neutrality. He has the defensive neutrality too. He has the offensive neutrality, or just natural neutrality, I guess, whatever. But he has the defense specific one like Bardock has, I believe. So like he's got a lot of stuff in his kit that's very valuable that they try to really lean into defense. It's just, I think if you're gonna do a defense character, we actually recently got a defense character. What are your thoughts on the way that the defense is handled on the new Vegeta we just got?
Well, so the thing with that Vegeta is I think he's good, but it's like, first of all, he doesn't have revival or endurance, so that's automatically out of the question. And the second thing is like the way that he deals with your combos is he destroys all your cards and removes all of your ki, right?
That's exploitable.
But there's characters that can not really care about that. Like Angel Golden Frieza doesn't care about that. The yellow free-to-play Trunks doesn't care about that. Characters like, I don't know, just think off the top of my head, like the we just talked about this off camera, but the Zenkai Purple Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta gets double card draw speed from his main ability, so he's gonna inevitably draw a card and his ultimate from that, so he can continue the combo. Like, there's a million ways these units can continue the combo.
Even a character like Purple SS3, you know, just draws a strike. Any character that can draw anything kind of doesn't really care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of him, if you look at it, like his defensive stats are pretty good, but like he also turns into a heavily offensive character as well.
Yeah, I think they just didn't know like what they wanted to do with him. Like, I don't know.
But again, defense is an archetype in this game. So I mean, like if we did this video a few months ago, I would have had him in my top 5. But I think too many strong characters have come out also in that time span to where like he just can't really compete, unfortunately. So let's move on to Frieza here. So another Frieza for you, Gresh. You must be feeling pretty good. I was going through this list and I was like, man, there's easily like 4 Friezas or something like that are easily at least top 10 or honorable mention worthy, and that just speaks to how powerful that team became in a short amount of time after being memed for like 2 years or whatever. So how do you feel about this guy?
A lot of these Friezas too aren't even LFs or Ultras. Like, they're just normal.
They're just regular characters, yeah.
This guy is interesting because he's really the only revival character right now that I would say is relevant in the meta, and that really adds a lot of value. Especially, it's like if you not even just like LOE, if you want to run this guy in powerful opponent as well, like you can string together a pretty interesting team. Like this guy, this guy and Purple Cell together is so annoying. Like that team is so annoying. I hate that team. Like, dude, think about this: a team with the androids, this guy, and Purple Cell. That is annoying.
Oh, you're never gonna rush.
that team sucks to fight. I've fought that team before. I just immediately wanted to leave. But this guy does a lot. I mean, he has a long-range priority gaining green card. He's healing the whole team. I think he only heals LOE actually when he switches out. But he does give key back. He
gives damage as well to allies.
Yeah, he supports. He once he revives, he goes type neutral. I think it's for 30 counts. And on top of that, he destroys 2 of your Dragon Balls in his main ability. Like, he's doing a lot. And he's able to lock you in as well with his green card after his revival. So he's covering a lot of bases here. The one thing I will say about him, though, is he's not that tanky. So, you know, Android 18 comes in and, like, 1 card, same with the blue. But, yeah, other than that, he's good.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, he's also the only revival character. This is also his indictment on anti-revive as a whole on characters like Gogeta or Perfect Cell, to where it's an extremely powerful mechanic, but they really haven't in the year they've only put out like 4 revive characters. Am I forgetting? Is there like only 4? 3? 4?
Well, there was a time where they were spamming anti-revive mechanics. Like, remember we got Cell, then Goku and Vegeta, and like Gogeta's unique equipment all within like 3 months or something. Like, they were like, please, no more revives.
That's what removed Gohan from the meta completely.
Yeah.
And then also the tag characters put the final nail in the coffin because they've got the same damn teams.
Exactly.
So like, but like there's not that many revives in the first place, and Cell's horrible. Gohan is like all right, but he's directly competed for on pretty much all his teams. And then like you have this guy who's really good. He doesn't have the defense like you said, but that's fine, whatever. You still have the option to throw him out there into that. And you know, when you're using this character, because there's not as many like Gogetas in circulation, doesn't feel as bad to use him as you would say. But I mean, I guess really you got to just avoid Cell because you don't want Cell to get him. But that's basically it.
If he does, you have to switch. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, if you can't let Cell get him. If Cell gets him, you might as well you're done. But he's very valuable, very powerful. His blue does a lot of damage. I love the ally count mechanic too. Like, that is, I mentioned it with Goku. That's one of my favorite mechanics in this game, dude. Like it. Because if you think about it, the only real defense that you actually have at the end of the day is your vanish. I mean, you have mechanics for defense, like covers and whatnot, and endurance. But, like, the vanish is the one that is the most valuable, right? When you give that up, you're stuck. And to have more access to vanishes and switches is, to me, I think, one of the best mechanics you can have in the game entirely. So, with this guy having that on command with the main ability, it's such a powerful effect to have. You know, shortens allies count by 3. It's valuable, man. So I love that he has that. He has it twice, by the way. It's stupid, absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
So to me, I think he's awesome. But again, that's number 8 on the list. So let's move on to number 7 here. So, wow, what a fall from Grace, man. When they came out, I would probably have said they were number 1, just for the record. But
Yeah,
okay, let me also say this. Another issue with the game right now is the stupid featured system and stuff like that. Because when they came out, they could take hits really well, and then when the feature system went away, they couldn't take hits anymore. I noticed that instantly. I've got them at 14 stars, so it's not like they're like low star or whatever, but they get shredded to pieces if they get caught in a couple combos. And I noticed the same about Trunks as well. He's not on my list, but I noticed the same about Trunks. So that's an issue with the feature system. It just makes these characters look a little bit better than they actually are. So it'd be interesting to see how other characters fall out of that, like MUI or whatever. But for what they can do, I mean, they're not bad defensive characters, but for what they can do, they're actually very similar to the androids. They don't have some of the same stuff like no, they have anti-revive, but they don't have the anti-endurance the same way. So there's some differences here. But the healing that they do, the damage they do, all that stuff is through the roof. One thing I noticed with them is, like I said, off camera, is like I said, I would have probably put them at number 1 when they came out, but especially with the reverse typing and stuff. But like, if you notice, directly after they came out, and it was probably one of the quicker turnarounds, they typically don't do this, they instantly were like, oh no, we're gonna try to counter these characters. And so you see other characters start popping up. You see a little more yellows trickle in. You see even green characters. Like I mentioned this as well. Like, it's just, it really epitomizes this for me. The Kaoken Goku that came out with that revive Frieza is not a great character. He's decent. He's not great. He's not really one you would go out of your way to use. But he even has mechanics to allow him to exist in the meta versus purple characters. And to me, that just screams that they were terrified of this character and tried to play around them as much as they could. And unfortunately, in that and like the health restoration stuff, because this was the first character that was healing so much. Like, they would just heal from nothing to like max HP in like 2 combos. It was actually insane. And every character, I kid you not, every character that's released since them has had health restoration debuff in their kit. It's hilarious to see. So like, it really screams to me that they tried to really downplay this character, and unfortunately it pushed them so far down because so many better characters have come out now in just the span of how long have they been in the game? For 6 months?
Yeah, half a year.
In that amount of time, so many characters have come out that are just better. So it's unfortunate, but they're still really good if you were to use them, obviously.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest reason why I would see them pushed down on the list is because of the amount of good yellow and green units that have come out.
Yep.
I mean, not really that many. Like, I mean, obviously you have like the big guns like Ultra Blue Kaoken Goku is like the main yellow, which just completely destroys his character if he gets his hands on them. But you also have like the full power Frieza getting his unique equipment, and like the whole globe of LOE as a whole just pushed this guy out of
the other full power Frieza got his Zenkai in that time span too, right?
Yeah, yep, he did.
Yeah.
And even like the yellow free-to-play Super Saiyan Trunks, like he really stomped out Mono Purple because of the anti-cover change as well on his main ability.
Yeah.
You had a character like the Zenkai Green Vegeta, who honestly, if you caught the Vegeta end of this character with that Green Vegeta, you just killed him in 1 hit.
Yep.
You have Angel Golden Frieza who can do the same and go type neutral against the Goku side with his blue card. So there's a lot of tools that they gave us to deal with this character because I think they were just scared of the tag mechanic.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because this character does have some really awesome stuff in their kit, like, Vegeta's blue doing a lot of damage and stuff like that. Goku's getting the restoration. Like, I could really talk about them for a while, but I wanted to focus more on like the way that the game has changed since they came out, because they really did instantly, like it seems, try to usurp them as the top dog in the game. They really didn't last very long anyway because Gogeta came out directly after.
Yeah.
so like, they really didn't last in that spot, in my opinion, very long. But it just the insane amount of options we got, and not only yellows and it's just teams going up, but the greens popping up a little bit more. It's really interesting to see how the game kind of changed from under their feet in such a short amount of time. But nonetheless, though, like I said, if you were to still use them, they're very powerful. Still probably the best purple characters on their teams, things like that. So. And I do love for the tag how it's like the assist, and they have all these extra tags as well. They got Sun, Family, and Vegeta Clan. You could use them pretty much anywhere. They got movies.
Sun, Family, Vegeta Clan, God Key, and movies. Like, they have. I think they have the best set of tags in the game out of any character. I think.
It's awesome to see, man. It's almost as awesome as Android 17 on girls, but
no.
All right. Speaking of Green Vegeta, he is directly above them on the list. So Green Vegeta is a character that has really awesome stats. He's actually deceptively tanky. You wouldn't think that a melee character like him would be as tanky as he is, but he picks up that defensive neutrality as well. I mean, it's not defensive, but it's only for a short amount of time. It only effectively works on a cover change. And then on top of that, though, this guy's combos were already really good. He was a combo damage dealer with the extra increases in damage he would do or gain, for himself and allies. And then at the end of the day, I was scared of this. Everyone was scared of this. The switch locking ultimate. So that has really defined the way you can play the game and stuff like that, because you can just literally snipe and kill a character with that if you get the opportunity. So I think he's, as you see, top 6 in the game personally. What are your thoughts on this guy?
Yeah, I actually have him at the same spot on my list, number 6, so I share your opinion. I think for me, because right now I'm thinking of God Key, and the one thing that God Key team is lacking is like a good defensive character that's able to tank a rush or endurance, revival, the character that's just able to take damage and be okay.
How dare you disrespect Revive Coup like that? Oh, that's the 4th one, dude. Hold on, I was like, is there 3 or 4? That's the 4th one.
Yeah, he's on different. He's on the ZZ tier easily,
right? Is there actually 5? Am I forgetting somebody else, dude? I don't know.
Cell, Gohan, Frieza, Revival.
It's the Gohan. It's the green one, right? Doesn't he revive?
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. I was like, dude, I feel like I could only think of the Frieza, the purple Gohan, and the Cell, dude. I'm forgetting somebody. And before Green Gohan doesn't revive, and I'm just wrong. But it's okay. We're good.
But so I think the character up until this point that was able to fulfill that role in God Key was Goku Black and Zamasu.
Yeah.
But it's like this guy pretty much just took their spot. He's the same color. I would honestly argue this guy potentially could even tank a little bit better than Goku Black and Zamasu if you have this guy at high stars. He has his defensive stats, it was 190,000 about defense or something. It's actually ridiculous.
We'll pull it up here. Yeah, 195. Yeah, God dang. 4. My goodness.
I've actually had scenarios because when I use this character, I like to actually build him defensively, with full defensive equipment with an HP bench, because I've had scenarios where he's lived type neutral rising rush from 14-star androids. He's lived.
Yeah, and his defense is through the roof, man.
That's even better than having endurance a lot of the times, because they don't the androids don't care about endurance. But if you just straight up live the rush with this guy, that's insane. There's not really many other characters, if there's any at all, that could even do that. So this guy is very, very good. He supports the team. He has a Zenkai buff if you have another green God Key character on the team. So yeah, and heals with his green card. His ultimate obviously locks you in. So he's doing a lot. And all I'll say is I'm glad they didn't do more, because remember when this guy got a Zenkai buff, people were like, oh my god, they didn't touch him at all. Well, I'm good.
Yeah.
If they did, we would be in a much different spot here.
Yeah, this guy has 20% naturally, and then if you get caught in a combo, he has another 40%. So he has a lot of cut. That's pretty crazy, man. And then also, I love this too. I love this mechanic for the Vegeta family characters where they did the sub count down. There's a couple of them that can kind of reduce their count like that spontaneously. I love it so much. So this guy, if you can, that's why they gave him the neutrality, because if you're getting comboed, if you need to switch into him just to have him eat a couple hits, you can do it.
Oh yeah, I've had this guy live rising rushes from Zenkai Super Vegito before.
Yeah, it's crazy because he has such high defenses, and at 14-star, and good equips. His all the good equips you'd want, and then he has 60% cut basically on a combo. So pretty crazy. Yeah. And this is a damage dealer we're talking about, really. So it just goes to show, man, how this game really is weird with the defensive side of things in this game. But awesome character nonetheless. So next on the list is Cell. So Cell is a character that would not have been on this list prior to his equip coming out, just to say. We've talked a lot about equips, but I really kind of want to show the people what we're talking about here. Because this is hilarious, dude. They gave him 25 to both defenses, key recovery, critical, all of that, 25. Then you get the offensive side with the attacks and just natural inflicted damage, which we hardly ever see inflicted damage on an equip. And then health restoration. And then, because it was so bad, and it was so noticeable how bad it was when Kaoken came out, His gauge is the same as Kaoken's. They allowed for his gauge to charge faster. Wow. Or no, plus 15 when you start. But yeah, basically the same thing. You get it quicker. And on top of that, he has health as well. So what do you say about this guy? Like, he, on top of his kit, that was all he really needed, man. Like, he's got an awesome kit. So Cell's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think the biggest complaint that I had about this guy when he first came out, before his unique equipment released, was the fact that his gauge was just too slow.
It's horrible.
In order to I remember like getting his gauge, like the average amount of time it took was like 60 counts to get his gauge built up, which is like just completely like terrible. Like, it's awful.
Yeah.
And it
got really noticeable when Goku came out. Like I said, like how bad it was.
Yeah, because I remember even saying this like multiple times when Cell first came out. I was like, yeah, like he's not bad, but I would have liked his gauge to charge a little bit faster because it just takes forever. And if you look at what he's actually getting on his gauge being filled up, I think it's what 50% damage, 50% ultimate damage, and then like 15% damage, reduced damage received. So you stack that on top of his actual buffs at the start of the fight. He has all that bulk from the equipment on top of 55%, I think, because he starts with 40 and then the extra 15. 55% reduced damage received on top of all the extra bulk he's getting from the stats of the equipment. Plus, a very popular way to run this character is with the Android 21 bench Zenkai ability plus HP ability. Yeah. So he's like very, very tough to kill. So he's crazy.
Yeah, this guy has natural damage against majority of the game. So we'll just say that. Hybrids and Saiyans, okay. So there's that. And then he also has, 30% against hybrids and then another 20% against hybrids? This dude.
Yeah, so when UI Gohan comes out, he'll be able to crush him.
He's going to rip him to pieces, dude. He has natural draw speed, the natural damage and cut as well, natural cost down. Then anytime he's faced with an enemy, he picks up Ki and then does a debuff of the special move and gets more damage. Also, he has anti-revive. Remember, I talked about how earlier you can't let your revive Frieza, who's the only one really in the game that you're using, get caught with this guy because you're going to get destroyed, dude. You lose 4 Dragon Balls, you lose all your Ki, and you lose 150% Ki recovery. You're not using anything right after this. You're done, dude. You might as well destroy your hand because it's worthless. But he's taking your Dragon Balls. You might as well just give up the game. Because they're going to use a rush before you use another one and you're just done. He always nullifies paralysis, very powerful. Speaking of rush, he also destroys 2 Dragon Balls when changing cover and destroys a card. So like this is the way, and he has a knockback as well against Blast. We don't really talk about knockbacks that often, but like because you could bring it up for like most of these characters, because pretty much all of them we've talked about, at least half of the ones we've talked about so far have some form of like cover change. But like it's so common in the game, but like as an option to have it, if it's available, you still want to have it, right? But he also, even if it's not available, is going to destroy a card to obviously try to hamper the opponent's combo and remove a Dragon Ball so he can't get rushed, most likely in that combo. So like these characters are doing things like that. And this dude has the potential to remove 6 Dragon Balls. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then his green restores his vanish and his unique gauge. And I like his green. I don't love it, but like if you pop this now with the plat equip, he's gonna get his gauge pretty much full shortly thereafter. So you use this as a combo ender, right? At the end, after you've done through your side steps or whatever, use the green, get your vanish back, reduce their keys so they can't combo you directly thereafter. I don't love it, but it's pretty good. It has good utility.
I think if they really wanted to push this guy over the edge, what they would have done with the green is they would have made the 70% vanish restoration on activation instead of on hit.
Yeah,
kind of like
on hit.
Goku and Vegeta's blue card.
That's something that like doesn't get pointed out enough. We talked about Super Saiyan Bardock. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown his ultimate just for the simple fact I know I'll be able to vanish instantly. Yeah. There's another character that has that same effect in it, but it's on hit. It's somebody else that recently came out. I can't think about it, but I don't know. But there's another character that had that same effect, but it's on hit, and it's extremely noticeable and very different. The utility that you have when you can say, oh, just on activation versus on hit. And Cell needing to land it, if you miss it by chance, you're not going to get that back, unfortunately. All right, it's time for the new headliner. We have this guy sitting at number 4, Ultra Instinct Goku. So yeah, we technically already showed you number 1, so there's only a couple characters left. So if you've made it through this, thank you so much. I thought this would be a little faster, but I should have known because every time Goresh and I hook up, this happens. So we have number 4. This is Ultra Instinct Goku, the new headliner for the anniversary. The last most anticipated character to the game. We've now got every character that's most anticipated at this point. So, are you not excited? Are you overwhelmed, underwhelmed? Thoughts on this guy?
I think they did him justice. I mean, I don't really have any complaints about him. I think he's not too good, but he's definitely good enough, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. He doesn't really have any noticeable weaknesses to me, but they didn't make him super... Like, I remember when I first saw his details, I was like, the fact that he restores his unique gauge every time he uses Striker, I thought that was going to be way too good. Just because I was using the purple UI Goku as a reference, right? Which that's the only reference we had for this type of mechanic up until now. And I didn't know if the counters would be combable. I was kind of thinking they would be. And I was like,
man, could you imagine? Oh my god.
Because it looked like they would be. In the video they showed, like, it kind of looked like they would be combable, but I'm glad they aren't.
Yeah.
But I think they actually did this guy justice. Like, he's really, really good. He has the basically the same kind of dodge mechanic as Purple UI Goku, except it's way better. Yeah. He's able to maintain the gauge a lot better just because he has the green card that's able to restore gauge, and then also every time he uses Striker Blast, he recovers the gauge. So basically, if you combo somebody with this unit, he'll maintain that same gauge level the whole combo. So he's not going to lose the gauge. Like, you don't get punished for comboing somebody with this unit.
Yeah.
But his damage is very high. His card draw speed, his main ability obviously has the cover change nullification, which at this point I think is pretty much just assumed that every character's going to have that moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very good.
You know, you say assumed. I remember when it turned into, it's assumed that every character now just has Nullify Endurance in their ultimate.
Well, and card draw speed. Like, those things just became natural parts of every kit.
Yeah, because if you didn't have them, you just weren't good enough. You couldn't really even be used. So it's kind of where this game is trending, because, you know, the special cover changes were really neat around the time, like, Purple Bojack came out, you know, stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, now they're starting to give it to every character. So it's not as special anymore because every character does it. Even this guy does it, you know? So, like, they started putting on so many characters. And that's just kind of the way that the game evolves over time. Now, you talked about this guy, and I'll say the first thing I did notice with him was the way, because, again, we have to use Purple UI as a reference, is the way that this guy's gauged. Like you said, if you're using him, it is going to maintain that level. Or if he uses the gauge, he could very easily get it back. He's like, so, like, this is a character, and this doesn't happen very often. I mean, I'll say that every character in this game is better in the hands of a better player, but it doesn't happen very often where you have characters that actually do function exponentially better once you learn how to use them very well, or you're in the hands of a better player, because this guy has very interesting ways to use him and use his dodges and use his counters, similar to the Purple, but obviously on steroids because he has the counter mechanic built in. And also interesting counter plays. I see a lot of ways people try to play around this guy. Some people will just stand there and it's like, okay, well that's one way, I guess, but I'll just engage you and I'll get it back, so it is what it is. I see people dash in or drift in and they go for a single tap, then another single tap, you know, they'll eat your gauge up like that. Like, you have interesting ways to play around him or interact with him if you're the opponent. But if you're using him, you know, one thing I like doing with him, for example, it's just like a little cheeky way to do something. I'll throw my blue card, and if they don't get a perfect, if they try to engage me right then and there, I'm going to get an instant vanish because his animation is just quick enough to where, or not a vanish, instant counter. His animation is just quick enough to where, like, I'll get that off, for example. Or I love switching after a vanish, and if I drop in, you know, and I got that gauge, I'm going to get a counter if you try to engage. Like, there are different ways you can use this character and try to find ways to manipulate the mechanics that he has. That's just a couple of ways. There are so many ways. But on top of that, he has access to some of the best mechanics in the game overall. We talked about the null covers. He also has covers. He has draw speed. He has last man standing stuff, which, I mean, sure, you could say it's better to have these mechanics always, like we talked about with Jiren so long ago, to have, like, the endurance naturally, but still having access to it's pretty awesome. The fact that his green card also gives him a strike is pretty crazy too, and it restores, again, like we talked about, the gauge as well. Like, he is a character that he really doesn't, like, look how much text this is. God dang. You can't even skim through this for an idea to talk about something like I did with the other characters. Oh, actually, that's wrong. Dude, this is the dumbest thing ever. You see that?
I don't. Yeah, dude, I don't even like. I was even talking about this when he was first shown off. I was like, I don't even. Is that even gonna matter in like a lot of the instances? Because like, I did like 3 to 4 videos on this character. I think I only got that like one time. Like, it's good, but
oh my god,
people were acting like that was gonna be like the most broken ability.
it's like it's extremely matchup dependent. But like for me, there were some matches where I got this like 3 or 4 times, and the fact he just instantly gets the combo is crazy, bro. But like I tweeted this out. I was like, you know, when they want to break a character, they just start creating random stuff, dude. Like, what is this? Where did this even come from? Who thought of this?
Well, the thing about this too is like the reason why I think this is so rare, especially with this unit specifically, is because the enemy is not really going to be striking you from close range a lot of the time, and then you as well playing UI Goku aren't going to be like engaging a lot because you're scared to click a button thinking you're going to get countered, right?
Yeah.
So that's like it sort of discourages you from going for the clashes a lot of times, but I don't know. And just as an aside, I actually think the best way to I'm still trying to like perfect the way to use this guy so far, but from what I've learned in my using him so far is that I think the best way to use him is to be kind of offensive. Like, you don't want to just sit there, unless the situation calls for it. You have to be like super defensive, but because if you make your opponent react to what you're doing, you can use his gauge as an offensive tool. Yeah. And then on top of that, you being offensive lets you maintain the gauge instead of it just slowly depleting down. So I think like obviously you don't want to be like way over aggressive, but I think like engaging once every now and then with this character, like, and then maintaining a decent gauge level is like the correct way to use him.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, people try to stand there, but it's like, okay, if you just try to engage them in that scenario, you're better off because you're just gonna you're losing that. You know, you're just standing there, you're just losing that advantage. And like, I just thought of another fun thing I like to do. I like to sit on the green and let them think I have no gauge, and then use the green at the last second. And
oh, you know what I like to do? I like to like. So if I perfect vanish somebody, for instance, I'll like combo them, but then I won't switch, and then when they go for an attack, I'll just switch into UI Goku and counter them.
Oh my god. You know, another thing, like, it's this guy, like, the only time you really need to be overly defensive, I guess, or patient is when it's a mirror, because that one, it's like the first one that blinks is done, you know. That those matchups are so funny. It's extremely like passive. It's like up, trying to tap punch, tap shot, up, got him, no, I missed him,
Yeah, that's the meme. I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like Dragon Ball Legends PvP and it's just Goku and Jiren staring at each other. That's what that is.
Oh my god, he's standing there menacingly. So like with this guy, I think that they gave him literally everything that they could. If they gave him anything else, he would be broken. I didn't even think, like, you know, with Purple Goku, it was extremely noticeable that his defense was really bad. This guy isn't as bad. He's not great, but he's not as bad. You know, he's got 165.
No, he has. Well, the thing about him is he has like
50% cut here.
Reduced damage received.
Yeah.
But then
his defense isn't bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The one thing I'll say about him that he's definitely missing that a lot of other top tier units have is like a consistent way to heal.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have, like, he gets healing from his main ability, but then other than that, he doesn't heal. So like pretty much all the damage that he takes throughout the fight, he won't be able to gain back. Whereas like, I mean, we'll take a look at the other 2 units you have on your list, but the androids definitely can heal back up. Yeah. Cell can heal back up a decent bit, like through his unique gauge and then also his main ability. So a lot of these other characters that we're talking about on this top 10 list, especially the top 5, like, they all have a very consistent way of healing, whereas this guy doesn't really have that.
Yeah. And I want to mention this too. We should have mentioned earlier. I don't remember if we did. We've been at it for a while. But you know, when you start looking like around right here, you know, and for the rest of the list, all these characters can kind of be interchanged, you know, for better or worse, because they're all like in the same wavelength. It's not like one's exponentially better than the next one anymore. They're all really good.
Unless you're the androids, yeah.
Unless you're the android. So, yeah, you guys can probably imagine who the top 2 are. So, here's number 2, which, spoiler, that does mean number 1 is Gogeta. Well, number 3 and number 2 and number 1 androids. But, yeah. So, here we go. Number 3 in the game, Kaoken Goku. So, this guy, speaking of gauge, oh my god. Jeez Louise. If this guy gets rolling, he is going to do a lot now. And you know, he also has that main ability that also nulls covers. Like it's a staple, man. You have to have that on these characters for them to really pop off, because if they don't have that mechanic built in, they can't do anything they want to do. They really just can't. Some of these characters are predicated on staying out there for a long time, using a bunch of cards, and then just kind of exiting after that. Also, speaking of exiting, this guy doesn't have to exit because he gets the Vanish Restoration. You know, one thing I thought about with this guy's kit, I was like, I could have easily seen his gauge having more restriction than it does, because he heals 7 times. That's a lot of times to heal 15%. he has 5 extra 100% gauges. Again, that is a lot of times to get this. So like it's pretty crazy how often he can use some of these mechanics, dude. And he has a lot of draw speed. He just had, and you know, one thing that's crazy about him, that it's probably, honestly, it's up there as one of the best mechanics in his kit, and he has this, and no other character on this list even has anything close to this. The ceiling of the strike.
Yep.
That is so, like, so we don't see many strike seals in the game. There's probably just like a handful of them, but a couple of characters come to mind. We have Zenkai 7 Fat Boo, and we have like the Universe Survival Gohan. Those characters come to mind when I think about that mechanic.
Oh,
For
what
me.
about Ice Shenron?
How could I forget?
New level of power Ice Shenron.
So those characters were a good example, because you have Gohan, who does it when the enemy switches while Gohan's on the battlefield. You have Boo, who does it on his own entry. Goku does both. So he's going to seal your strikes no matter what. So you better be watching for it, because you just, so many times people switch in and they know, and like I do it myself. I know he's going to seal my strike in the back of my mind, but I still switch in and try to use a strike. And it's like, So that in his kit and all the stuff he does makes him insanely powerful. Also, being a summonable ultra, you know, just it is what it is, man. They gave these ultras like insane stuff.
The fact that you sometimes are locked out of switching because you only have strikes in your hand makes this guy so annoying to fight.
Yeah,
like
you actually can't even do anything.
Well, the thing is, like, this Goku makes strike cover change units. Like, if you use this guy alongside, like, for example, Ultra Gogeta, it makes Ultra Gogeta strike cover change better, because you know that the enemy can't switch to attack you if they have only strikes in their hand, because then they'll be locked. So
yeah, that's true.
If they're comboing against this Kaoken Goku, and like they're going strike after strike after strike, it's because they're trying to dump their hand so they can actually draw their cards. So you can pretty easily cover change against their strikes if you have a strike cover change.
Yeah, that's true. This guy, like, he really, like, when you start getting down to this part of the list, there's not really much you have to even say about these characters anymore. they just do too much. So it is what it is.
For some reason they decided to give him the not blast armor, the nullified blast damage.
Yeah. Oh, they gave that to UI as well, though.
Yeah, UI has that as well.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like, we talk, blast armor is incredible, but like the null damage is. I had a couple matches with UI and this guy since they've been out where it's like, oh, blast armor would kill me, but it's not blast armor.
Well, especially because like a lot of these characters now, well, not a lot, but some of them are getting like the anti-blast armor stuff. Like Angel Gold and Frieza has, I think it's 250% extra damage to blast armor.
Insane.
So that actually does matter.
Doesn't do anything to these characters though, because they don't actually do blast armor. So
yeah, it's like a Rising Rush. They take no damage from it.
Yep, pretty crazy. All right, so let's talk about Gogeta. And what I want to kind of do for Gogeta is, since we got here, I want to do Gogeta versus the androids. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I think the androids are just, again, I made this comparison in my video, and the way that I like to explain it is, if the androids are a 10, I probably have Gogeta at like a 6.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
that's saying a lot, because Gogeta does a lot of stuff.
Gogeta still has one of the best mechanics in the entire game, which is the lock, but it's an automatic lock, which is like, there's instances where that lock single-handedly will decide the game in your favor, right?
Yeah.
You have, like, again, this is the scenario I always play out, because for a lot of people who aren't experienced in fighting Ultra Gogeta, like, you'll PV one of your, you'll PV somebody's, your opponent's unit or whatever. You'll kill them. You won't have your Vanish. Gogeta will come in, and you're dead, because he has blast armor, he locks you in, and even if you're green, he's type neutral, so you lose. GG.
That's such an insane combo.
Yeah, you lose the game because you killed their unit. That's how it is.
Yeah. Like Gogeta is, I mentioned this off like camera. I was like, Gogeta's a character. If no other character is designed to do this, he is designed to win you the game in that scenario, because there's nothing that they could truly do. And then he draws a second ultimate too. It's just he's going to one shot your character probably. There's not much they can really do.
Yeah, and on top of that, he's destroying your hand like 6 times per match because his blue card.
That's extremely annoying. So, like, his combo loop is use a bunch of cards, then end it with a blue card that does a lot of damage and destroys your hand. So, like, in terms of him and what he does, I mean, he's a character that's good in all phases of the game. I mean, even like super early, if with blast armor and stuff like that, you have utility there. And if he draws a green in the opening combo, you're done because you're not going to be able to do anything because he'll null you. And doesn't he cancel your buffs too? Yeah, cancels attribute upgrades too. So like you're going to take a lot of damage as well. So like, there's not really anything you could do. It is what it is.
Well, and guess what? He's another character that nullifies special cover change with his green card.
Yeah, so like if they get a green opening sequence, you're done. There's nothing you can do. Like if he gets you with the blast armor or whatever, you're done.
Then they chain into a blue and they destroy your hand and they rush you and it's over.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned, when you start beating his team, he spontaneously goes neutral and does the lock. So like really, and then in that scenario, unless you're gonna pop your rush, he's gonna get you every single time because everything he does has blast armor, except for blast, obviously.
Yeah.
But you get the point. But like he's gonna get you every time. So you're done. It is what it is. So like I could see, especially like obviously versus like 17, where Gogeta will be at his best and he can win those matchups some of the time. But I think with the androids, if you're able to do things like, you know, just avoid getting put in a position where you've used up your vanish already, for example, you'll be fine. Which is, and also like if you have 18, she's actually, I think that might even be why that's in her kit, just the freaking restoration of vanish. So she is fine if she kills a character and Gogeta is spontaneously entering and locking, things like that. So she is a character that obviously is fine. And this is where you get to the tag mechanic, right? Because if there wasn't a tag mechanic, this matchup, at least based on colors, would maybe skew a little more in Gogeta's favor, I think. But yeah. I think that they do so much stuff otherwise that it's really hard for him to really compete a lot of the time. And quiet as it's kept, I mean, yeah, he could, you know, easily one combo 17, but they also can one combo him back. So,
yeah,
you know,
I think at least in my, because I have Gogeta at number 2 on my list as well. And the reason why I have him so high, I think a lot of people don't agree with that, but the main reason being is he is really the only blue character right now that can deal with the Android 18 side of 17 and 18. Yeah. Even though 18 technically has type, like he goes type neutral, yep. And against type neutral, this Gogeta is strong enough to be able to just punch through it. And especially with the lock, he can get the job done. So I think because of his, again, I would say 2 out of 3 times this matchup of Gogeta versus the androids goes in Gogeta's favor. And then also obviously has the advantage over UI Goku. That for me puts him at number 2.
Yeah. So what about then about 2 and 3?
I just think there's too many good reds right now for Ultra Gogeta to overtake Gogeta right now.
Yeah.
It's just meta dependent. Yeah. Sorry, Kaoken to overtake Gogeta.
No, that's fair. I mean, like the end of my list has 2 reds literally there, so it is what it is. So yeah, guys, we went ahead and went through the top characters, in my opinion, right now, for the characters that we have in the game at this time. I'm curious to see where some of the new characters fall, or like Vegito Zenkai, if he jumps into this list, or what happens afterwards, what have you. Like I said, Goresh did do a video like this, so make sure you subscribe to him, so whenever he puts it out, you guys will see his version of things. It's a little different. But I mean, there's only so many characters that are even worthy of being here, so we'll probably have some of the same stuff, I imagine.
Is there gonna be a post-credit scene to this?
No post-credits. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy. Let us know your thoughts down below, and hopefully you enjoyed this basically podcast video that we did. Have an awesome day, guys, and take it easy. Peace.